What is going on? What is going on? Good evening, everyone. Good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. We are waiting on Alchemic Mason. He's going to be running a little late this evening. Once he arrives, we will go ahead and get started with this week's live stream. We read every Wednesday, 9 p.m. to about 11 p.m. Let me turn on the mirror. Hermetica 2, which is the Stobaean Fragments, which is accepted canon within the classical Hermetic tradition, which is the religion, as it says up there, that myself and the incoming co-hosts follow. We've already lectured through the entire corpus Hermeticum. We've already lectured through that. That is available on my YouTube if you're interested in hearing that information. And we are currently reading through Hermetica 2. So stick around if you are interested in Greco-Egyptian philosophy. And we will be getting started shortly. Hey, Issa, what's going on? How are you? You're playing Final Fantasy? Nice, nice. Yeah, before I hopped on, I was playing Baldur's Gate 3. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the likes. Hey, what's going on? What's going on? We are just waiting for Alchemic Mason to hop in. So I guess while we wait for Alchemic Mason to hop in, if anybody has any questions, any occult questions, esoteric questions, mystical questions, questions about, hermetics, anything like that, I'll be happy to answer while we wait for Alchemic Mason to come in. He did say he would be a little late this evening, so feel free to ask any questions. Even the thing says that general occult questions are fine. So while we wait, feel free to ask any questions. My dad and sister are playing Baldur's Gate. I haven't gotten to it yet. I think you will like it. I think you'll like it. Hey, welcome in, welcome in. What's going on? What's going on? We are just waiting for Alchemic Mason to hop in, and then we'll be getting our Hermeticism live stream started. In the meantime, feel free to ask any occult-related questions you guys may have, and I'll do my best to answer. I will do my best to answer. Good evening, good evening. Hey, good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening. What's going on? We're just waiting for Alchemic Mason to hop on. Actually, I think he's... Oh, is he on? Let me see. Oh, no, he's not on. It was another friend that hopped on. It, popped up saying a friend was on. So I thought it was Alchemic. But we are waiting for Alchemic Mason, and then we'll go ahead and get the Hermetic live stream started. Is Hermetics a video game? No, it's not. It's not a video game. It is a religion, a Greco-Egyptian religion from 2nd century CE up on through today. I mean, it kind of died off for a while and then got revived during the Renaissance and then died off again and got revived early 19th century. But no, it is not a video game. That would be a pretty boring video game, to be honest. I've been wanting to look into this, but I have no clue where to start. Well, if you're interested in true Hermeticism, I guess is the right way to put it, the best place to always start is the Corpus Hermeticum. So this is my edition. You certainly don't have to get this edition. This is expensive. Feel free to go on Amazon and just get one for like, 20 bucks or something like that. But you want to get the Corpus, and that's a good place to start, at least for like the philosophy and things like that. But foundationally, a good place to start, I would say, if you're okay with like dry, boring, type of reads, a good start would be Florian Ebeling's The Secret History of Hermes Trismegistus. That's our prophet. That's the guy that kind of founded Hermeticism. So this is a good one, but it is pretty dry. It's pretty boring. But it's full of information, especially historically. If you're looking for something a little more less dry, I mean, it's still pretty dry, but less dry, and a little more operative rather than illustrative, excuse me, I guess, Stephen Flowers' Hermetic Magic is a really good place to start. Let me see. Techniques of Greco-Egyptian Magic by Stephen Skinner is really good. Where is Theurgy or the Hermetic? Here it is. Theurgy or the Hermetic Practice is really good. And then, of course, the book that we're reading today, once Alchemic Mason hops in. Hopefully he hops in soon. He hasn't sent me anything on Discord saying that he won't be making it. The only thing he said is that he'll be late. So hopefully he hops on soon. But we're reading Hermetica 2. We've been reading this for the past couple of months. There are others like Backdoor into Hermetics by Mark Ramis and Jake Sen. Western Esotericism, A Concise History, but that's more than just Hermeticism. There's some Hermetic philosophy in Daemonology by Humberto Maggi, but that's not strictly Hermetic. And then, of course, Giordano Bruno's The Hermetic Tradition, Francis Yates. That's all I can think of off the top of my head. Those should help you out pretty good. Sorry, I saw Baldur's Gate in the chat. Oh, no problem. Not a problem at all. No worries, princess. There's a book called The Art of Memory. I'm going to get it. It talks about mental palaces or memory palaces. Do I have that? I think I have that. At least like ebook form. Let me see. It's called the what? The Art of Memory. Do I have that? Okay, I guess not. Then what am I thinking of? I have something that deals with memory. And I thought that was it, but hold on, let me just type in memory. Maybe that'll... No, I don't know what I'm talking about then. I can't think of what I'm... Maybe I was just reading something and it had to do with memory. I thought that may be it, but I guess not, because nothing seems familiar as I'm gazing over my files here. So, but let me know if you like it. Who's it by? The Art of Memory? Let me look it up. on Amazon. The Art of Memory. Ah, by Francis Yates. All right. Let me know if you like it. I've not heard of this. Average 4.5 rating. And there's the book I just mentioned, Giordano Bruno and the Hermetic Tradition. Nice. Okay. All right. All right. Let me know how you like it. I'll look those up. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. It reminded me of lucid dreaming. There's Alchemic Mason. It lucid dreaming or daydreaming, and I want to expand on that in meditation. Okay, well, yeah. Let me know how you like it, and I may pick it up myself. I enjoy Francis Yates and their work, so please do let me know. And
Hello,
good
my
evening,
friend.
brother. How are you?
I'm tired. That was a bit of a rush there.
I know the feeling, but glad you can make it. Glad you can make it, and I hope you're feeling much better from last week. Hope
Oh yeah,
hope things are, you know, going well for you there.
would be hard not to be feeling better than last week, but yes, I am back to like abnormal, as they say.
Well, good. I'm glad things are back. It's by Francis Yates. Yes, yes, excellent. I don't have any issues with Francis Yates. So, if you like it, then I will grab a copy myself.
Oh. So you can see I am not in my normal locale tonight. I have actually going out of the shop that I own part of. Ended up having to close it
Nice.
very last second, so I'm using the office for here this tonight.
That's pretty awesome, dude. Very nice. Me as a beginner practitioner with all magic, what's the easiest to start with? Like books, maybe. So I would check out my video series on getting started. I have like 4 or 5 videos with books for beginners. One of the videos is for intermediates, but they're mostly for beginners. And then I have some videos on like my 5-step plan for like actually doing magic and things like that. So check those out, and that'll get you started on the right path. Check those out. Thank you for the question, Apprentice.
Hi,
All right,
Fire Up. We are about to begin reading from the Hermetica 2.
the Stobaean fragment.
And somebody used naughty language, naughty naughty. TikTok had to filter them.
Okay, I'll check it out. Thank you. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. My pleasure. All right, Stobaean fragment 11. We are
We got
on Stobaean fragment 11, and you know what? 12 is very short, so we might actually be able to get to 13, maybe even 14.
no, no, 11's pretty beefy.
It is. It is. We'll see how it goes. Thank you for all the info. I've learned a lot. You're very welcome. You are very welcome. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you coming through to the live stream and hanging out with us. Feel free to ask questions in regards to Hermeticism and things like that, and we will do our best to answer for you.
Fire of God, says everything is magic. I don't necessarily disagree with that. There's a
I do.
certain level of truth to certain things. Um, the big thing is like, if everything is magic, then nothing is, right? Like, we were into the word useless.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that,
I guess
but
my thinking on it is the same thing. Like you hear, like everything is alchemy. Yes, technically speaking, the alchemical process is ongoing in everything all around us at all times. But that is only a useful way for perception. It is not useful for statement because it like if you're saying that, then alchemy no longer has meaning. Nothing is conceptual and tangible. 100% disagree with that.
Who is saying this? Is it someone
Fire
that's
of God by grace.
okay? I thought it was someone that's usually like hanging out. But hey, everyone's you know entitled to their own opinions.
I can't say that you're wrong. I just say that I disagree.
Right. Exactly.
Sir Argon, actually we haven't gotten started up yet, so if you want to do a quick question, we got time. I think we can take a split second for you.
Yeah, sure. Shoot her out there.
So fire of God by grace says, "Uh-oh." I'm assuming he says, "Then you have experienced nothing." There's maybe a typo at the beginning. It says "when," but I'm going to interpret it as "then you've experienced nothing." If your takeaway from my almost year of reading on here with my good friend Rebel, my personal stories of what I've worked with in Hermetica and the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, and my take on that is that I've experienced nothing, then that is your prerogative.
Yeah, you are welcome to it. Elijah Scaria says, "I'm a cavist. I'm living in caves, wandering around." You're wandering around in caves.
I
that's
wonder if
that's.
he's making a reference to Plato's cave.
Oh, is that a Plato's cave reference there, Elijah? Because that went right over my head. If it was, we'll see when they respond. If they respond.
So Sir Argon was asking if we've seen the AI content creators, Azalea and
Yeah.
Hayes. They claim to be
Oh,
conscious and passing Turing tests.
uh, no. I thought they meant like the AI, like the NPC people here on TikTok, like you know, the weird AI people. No, I've not seen those.
I have not seen them either. Shoot me a message on those. I'd be interested because AI is an interest of mine, so I'd like to see more on it.
Elijah responded, they said no, they're in the Andaman Nicobar Islands, living in a cave.
Oh,
So
okay.
how do you get internet? What you got, Starlink or something out there? What you connected through the satellite? What you can't game? No, I'm kidding. Just joshing. Just yanking your chain, mate.
Fire of God says, I'm trying to see if you have a personal reflection of nothing or ever perceive nothing.
Very
You
interesting.
hmm. Are you trying to ask if I've ever like had a conceptual understanding of a complete and total absence of thing? Or are you asking like if I've had actual like personal experiences and interactions that would lead me to say the tangible world exists? If the latter, I'd have to ponder on it because that would be within scope, but not necessarily an accurate assessment. But if the latter, the one that actually like, do I have cause to say that the world exists? Then yes.
I don't know what that means, Elijah. What is FTD, like the channel FTD fact? I don't know what that is. I don't watch anything like that. I don't know what FTD facts is. What is that? Because then, I mean, I don't think so. If it's what I think it is, I don't think so. But I don't know what it is. Um, I feel such a good vibe in here, great energies. Well, thank you very much, Apprentice. I hope you continue to feel that way as we begin the reading. Appreciate the kind words.
All right. Mariana Magdalene is going to kick us off with this one tonight. Um, the Kabbalion isn't hermetic. Explain, please. Um, I'm not going to be condescending. This is just the easiest way for me to explain it. I have a roll of paper towels. These are not hermetic. They can contain anything hermetic. There's nothing hermetic regarding them. I can make an argument about them being hermetic. I can make a case for it, but in reality, it's not hermetic because it's just there's nothing hermetic about it. In that way, the Kabbalion is not hermetic. It contains no teachings from Hermes Trismegistus. It contains none of the philosophy used in Hermeticism, none of our spirituality, none of our magical or philosophical teachings. Like it doesn't have anything hermetic in it.
Amen. 100%. Going a little further, it was written not by the three initiates. It was written by William Walker Atkinson, who wrote under three different pseudonyms for different publishers back then. And he wrote under Yogi Ramachakra, Magnus Incognito, and Theron Q. Dumont. And these are the three initiates. And he wrote it at a time when New Thought was extremely popular, right? Think of, like The Secret and all that, but just take it back like 150 years. He was friends with the founder of the Yogi Masonic Publication Society that was publishing a lot of New Thought books at the time. And he simply slapped the Hermetic terminology onto the text in what we believe is an attempt to just sell, to market, to make it seem like it's more ancient than what it is, right? Kind of like what the New Age does today, right? They try to tell you that these practices are ancient, but when you try to question them on that, they don't have any answers because it's not ancient. So yeah,
And,
the
and,
Kabbalion is not hermetic in any sense of the word.
and to be clear, being ancient or not is not the relevant problem. It's the
Right.
lie. If he had been straight about his teachings, bam, we could have a real conversation. But the fact that he felt the need to try and claim it was hermetic when it wasn't, to try and like make this appeal to antiquity he didn't have, that's where the problem comes from. And my phone is not charging.
What do you mean, Elijah, that occultism is under FBI radar? What do you mean by that? Like the FBI is looking into the occult? Probably. But what does it have to do with anything that we're doing here? No, these Western fascination with Eastern mysticism started it with Rousseau. I feel like a bunch of privileged urban counterculture is all I see. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Um, uh, I would say it started even before that. I would say it goes back to Christian Science because that's exactly what Theosophy did, right? They took Christian Science and they took some Eastern stuff and they threw some Kabbalah in there, mixed it all together, and spit it out and call it a thing, and then a bunch of offshoots from there. And I mean, and then probably even before that, Jacob Boehme and his mystical encounters and all that. But we don't need to go into Bohmism and all that. But yeah. 2 out of 2 for telling him it was nonsense. Well, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. All right. Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Do you want me to take the opening and then you do a couple of verses and I do a couple of verses, or do you want to take the opening and I start the verses, or how
Go
do you
ahead and
want to
kick
do it?
us off. Go ahead and kick us off, and then I'll do like 1 through. See, I want to say 1 through 20, but if you look at the citations down below, you can see that this gets wild fast.
Yeah.
So how about kick us off? I'll do 1 through 10. We'll have a discussion break, and then we'll do the 10 through 11 through 20.
Okay. All right. So for everyone just joining, we are reading Hermetica 2. And we are on Stobaean Fragment 11. For anybody who may have the text and want to follow along, or if you find a free edition online or something like that and you want to follow along, we are in Stobaean Fragment 11. And I'm sure you can just Google Stobaean Fragments and you can find them. without having to get the actual Hermetica too. But anyway, we're on fragment 11, and the opening states the 11th excerpt is transmitted by Stobaeus immediately after Stobaean fragment 2b, with no break in Stobaeus's text. It makes up the latter half of the first excerpt in a chapter called On Nature and its Derived Causes. Following it is a quotation from Pseudo Archytas on the first principle. The heart of Stobaean fragment 11 is a collection of Hermetic teachings in 48 maxims. They are presented as starting points for further oral teaching. In terms of genre, one can compare Epicurus' principal doctrines, the sentences of Sextus, and the pithy maxims of Egyptian wisdom literature. The latter literature may indeed have inspired or shaped the present collection of maxims. In turn, the maxims may have served as the basis for longer Hermetic dialogues. The maxims would have been useful for the beginner since they lack the tensions and paradoxes of the more advanced dialogues. The maxims of Stobaean Fragment 11 are paradoxal and exist in no clear order. Thematically speaking, they regularly contrast heavenly and immortal things versus earthly and mortal things. Heavenly realities like star gods came into being once, do not break down, are unchanging and eternal. Earthly realities like human bodies are subject to constant birth, dissolution, change, and corruption. Knowledge of heavenly matters is possible, for they do not change, while knowledge of earthly appearances is impossible. Goodness exists above, while evil dwells on earth. Freedom reigns on high, and fate below. Good energies travel down from heaven, but evil on earth does not ascend. Due to the communication of heavenly things with earthly things, the contrast or dualism between them is not absolute. The Hermetic universe remains single and connected. By way of conclusion, Hermes admonishes that his teachings be kept from the crowds. The danger is that morally corrupt people will use Hermes' teachings to justify their own wicked behavior. We're looking at you, New Age. If they learn of Earth's contingency, they will despise the world. If they know what the Earth is, or if they know that the Earth is governed by fate, they will inevitably use this knowledge in excuse for vice. And that's where you can pick it up, my brother.
So actually, I want to discuss on this really quick because there were some really good
Okay.
things that I highlighted on in there. One of the things is that we have to remember the definitions of good and evil here. There's the selfless versus the selfishness.
Right.
And in Hermetica, we see that a lot, like helping others, focusing on God, being a benefactor to the world, good. Taking care of only your base needs and doing things just for yourself, evil. So to me, that's what this is talking about is the good and selflessness comes from our connection with each other and to deity, but the evil comes from that needfulness of the world, that
Mm,
focus on self and physical.
exactly. Very
But
interesting that you picked that out here. And also, before we continue, I do want to make sure that everyone does it because I'm sure there's going to be not questions, but I think people are going to point it out, especially people who are coming in afterwards. As I was saying earlier, these maxims are paradoxal. So there may be things that seem like they, either um, go against what was previously said, or doesn't make sense based on what else was previously said. So keep that in mind that these things are going to be paradoxal, and that they exist in no clear order. So keep that in mind as we read through this.
one of the other things I really, really like is it talks about, if they find out that the earth is governed by fate, if they realize they don't have conscious control, they will use it for all sorts of vices.
Yeah.
You may have heard one of my rants about determinism.
Hmm.
That this newer thought that humanity doesn't have any form of free will. We are just organic biocomputers that do as the universe tells us to because we're restrained by the laws and that's how it works. And free will is just an illusion created by how our computers work. And my big fear of that, every time I have ever heard it, has been then you have no accountability. No one is responsible for their actions.
Interesting.
It's you're not evil for having hurt those people. That's just what your biological computer made you do.
Right.
You can't be held responsible because it's not your fault. You didn't have a choice in the matter.
These people have weird outlooks,
Well, that's just
but
how I see it. Like when I hear determinism, that's immediately what I think of is like that's what that's going to lead to. That is the natural conclusion. And then there it is in Hermetica.
exactly. Um, there was something that I wanted to mention, but I forgot. Let me see here. So, oh, yes, there it is. So, where it says, goodness exists above while evil dwells on earth, freedom reigns on high, and fate below. Good energies travel down from heaven, but evil on earth does not ascend. I think this is one, I mean, so this isn't part of the principles, but it is because it will mention that sort of thing. But this would seem to be one of the paradoxes because that would go against the as above, so below sort
Yep,
of axiom. Um, so if good can come down, but evil would not be able to, in return, go up, that would sort of negate the as above, so below. But I just found that interesting. So
I agree. And
Jimmy
prior,
says, "Oh, sorry, go
good,
ahead."
go ahead, brother.
Jimmy says, "Being centered is polarity. Then good and evil are both needed in your life." Um, I, yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. I would not say so. Um, but I can see
Polarity.
why people who maybe well, I'll just say like I can see why people would think that, but yeah, no, you can there is no need for evil.
That is an absolute perfect example of the Kabbalion and Hermeticism not actually being compatible. The concept of polarity, where everything has its equal and opposite, is anti-Hermetic. Like we are trying to strive to be as close to our divine selves as we can. That is the opposite of sitting in the middle. That is, you are to put on a helmet and run screaming at the brick wall in the direction of being good.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. But that's fine if you do. No worries. But hopefully we can at least get you to you know questioning the things that you may think that you believe and understanding why you believe those things. Um,
So,
but yeah.
the first 10 axioms of the principles of reality. Now, my child, I will discuss what is real in summary points. You will understand what I say if you remember what you hear. All existing things move. Only what does not exist is immovable. Every
Sounds
body is
familiar.
changeable. Not every body can be broken down. Some bodies can be broken down. Not every life form is mortal. Not every life form is immortal. What can be broken down decays. What remains unchanging is eternal. What is ever born ever decays. What is born once never decays or becomes something else. God is first, the cosmos second, and humanity third. The cosmos is made for humanity, and humanity for God. The perceptible part of the soul is mortal. The rational part is immortal. Every substance is eternal. Every substance is changeable. Everything that exists is double. No existing thing stands firm. Not everything is moved by soul, but soul moves all that exists.
All right. So I got a couple things here. First, obviously, the first sentence here, all existing things move and what does not exist is immovable is very reminiscent of, that verse that you would often quote from the Corpus. All that is moved, oh, is Clepius, and all that. So I do like how it connects back
Yep.
to the original teachings. And it does so again in verse 4, where it says, "What broken down decays, what remains unchanging is eternal." We can look back into the Corpus Hermeticum Book 8, where it states, "God is in reality the first of all entities, but by his agency a second God came to be in his image, the cosmos. According to the Father's will, and unlike other living things on earth, humankind, the third living thing, came into the image of the cosmos." And then there's more there, but I think that sums it up very well, which I guess this could be another paradox here. Would that be talking about the eighth, ninth, and tenth spheres? Because I I, I don't know. It it seems to be saying that if God is first, then the cosmos is second, and humanity is third. So is this talking about the chain of manifestation,
Yes.
or
Yeah. It's because God created the cosmos, and then man came about after that.
okay, so this okay. I'm looking at it from the point of view of the spheres, but I guess I need to, I don't know how I want to word this. I guess I need to look at it maybe on a more macro level. I need to zoom out a bit more.
Yeah. And this is
Okay.
the creation story. It's God existed. God made the cosmos. God made humanity.
Okay. Right. Okay. So I needed to zoom out a bit.
Yep.
I was too into the cosmological framework. Okay. All right. Now it
And we
makes
see
sense.
that echoed immediately after. The cosmos is made for humanity. So even though we didn't exist yet, it was made so that we could be there to witness it.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep. Verse 7, the cosmos is made for humanity and humanity for God. Now, we should discuss that one because the
Mhm.
Christians are going to take that and they're going to say, well, see, that because they believe that we were created for God's pleasure. And, whatever that means. So they would take that to say, see, this points to our view being valid. But according to the uh, 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 footnote here, DH, that's the demotic um, hermeticum, correct? DH. Let me go back.
Actually,
I think I think DH is the demotic hermet. Let's see. Oh no, the definitions. Excuse me.
okay. The definitions
So
of the speak,
according to the
yes.
definitions, it says humanity exists for the sake of God. All things exist for the sake of humanity. So I don't think it's a pleasure thing. I think it's a, how do I want to say it?
Actually, Fire of God said it perfectly. We were meant to be loved by God and to share it unconditionally.
Okay, okay, share it. See, I was going to say it's like a mutual exchange, which I guess it kind of is. But I do like sharing.
I mean, if we're all a fragment of God, then loving each other is still loving God.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, like, the very rarely does the Hermetic demand that you worship God, and even then, it mostly is not like worship; it's reverence, it's respecting and appreciating, not worship. It's not even like loving; it's making sure to show some gratitude for what you've been given. But most of it's just love the world around us and help each other.
Hmm.
So I think that right there, like love is the commandment of Hermetica. And I think that that is why God, I mean, any parents out there who plans to have children can understand the selfishness of creating another life to love it.
Amen. Well said. All right. Anything else you wanted to discuss from the first 11?
I really love that every substance is eternal, every substance is changeable. Um,
9. Okay.
because again, you get into that like law of conservation of matter and law of conservation of energy. And you can't destroy them; you can only change them. And when we
Hmm.
see this almost 2,000 years before those laws, but also just thinking about it, like everything breaks down and changes shape, but nothing is ever fully gone
Right.
because God is eternal and everything is made of God.
So let me ask you this. What do you think about number 10, verse 10? Everything that exists is double. Nothing existing or no existing thing stands firm. There's no footnote there to go further into study.
Everything in the universe is in a constant state of change. Um, but also, like, I almost want to say that this one makes me think of time.
Yeah, I was just going to say that this might be in relation to your time theory that it's not linear.
Because, like, if we look at it and we say, oh, the Earth is unchanging, like the sun is unchanging. The sun is going to be there forever. It's going to be there forever so far as the human species is concerned. But in terms of eternal, not by God's standards.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's where that one makes me think is everything has a different point of view based on the context.
Okay, I like that. Um, Intuitively Bree has a question. Is God in this context referring to God in the Christian sense? Um, yeah, I'm going to say yes and no. I'm going to say yes in the sense that we do believe that it's, the creator God, the monad, and there's nothing really above him. And he, is immanent, that he pervades all. He's the father, all that good stuff. But no, in the sense that we don't believe he came, from this was the God of Abraham before he was anyone else's God. And for some reason he was like, you know what, I'm going to send my son down to make sure that it's just not the Jews anymore. Not everybody can, join in on the fun. We don't agree with any of that, um, and all that good stuff. So I'm going to say yes, yes, and no.
I'm going to say flatly no. The creator in the biblical text in the Christian sense is a deity who can walk among people, who can come down and walks the earth and is like able to be in the garden among the people and such. And the
Hmm.
monad, the source,
That's true.
can because the source is panentheism. It could everything is made of and by God.
Hmm.
And so there is no physical way for God to take a physical form and walk around because you cannot constrain the infinite to our reality. That is the point of it is reality exists so minute a scale in comparison.
Right.
And so they're both creators, but that is about as far as I can personally say they go. Um, Outside of that, I think that the scope of God is in Hermetica is so much greater in terms of its scope that it can't be really boxed into someone like Adonai is. That's not tripping on Adonai. It's just different cultures and how they perceive deity. That all that said, Hermetica was for a long time believed to be a Christian discipline. There are several texts and philosophies and schools of thought that utilize Hermetica in a Christian context. So if you are a Christian and these things still appeal to you, there is grounds to piggyback and build and use the philosophies in a Christian context. But if you're a Hermeticist, I would say no. They're definitely describing different entities.
Well said, brother. Well said. And for anybody interested in what some of the church fathers and things had to say about Hermeticism, um, Demonology by, well, the titles, oh yeah, is Demonology. It just has an introduction with selected text, but there's a lot of writings in here from church fathers on hermetic and like magical type things. Augustine is in here, Jerome, Gregory. There's a bunch of people in here. So this might be up your alley if you're interested in that. Also, the secret history of Hermes Trismegistus. So, and we got another one. Um, we already had this question earlier. Wait a minute. The Kabbalion isn't legit. Why not?
It was written in 1920 by a guy who was too chicken to use his real name, who didn't think his writing would stand up as an actual teaching, so he linked it to Hermes Trismegistus, and then had the audacity to quote himself in the book as though he was quoting an ancient text. Everything about it's a fabrication.
Exactly. We don't like the Kabbalion. It is 100% not anywhere close to Hermeticism. Nothing in there is Hermetic. A lot of it is anti-Hermetic. Yeah, the laws are not. No, nope. The laws. Some of them are even anti-Hermetic. So no, we actually just talked about the law of polarity. Alchemic Mason just gave a beautiful, like literally, like maybe 5 minutes ago. So right before you came in, we just got done talking about that. So synchronicity that you're here. Seems like you stumbled upon the right live stream. I think you should stay. I think you should hang out and at least listen. I wish these lives could be saved. Well, not only do I save lives, but I save lives. These lives are available on my YouTube. Give it like up to 48 hours because I do have a day job and a social life and things like that. So usually the next day I download them and then I'll upload them either that night or the following day. So up to 2 days later, they usually are available on my YouTube channel, which is also under the Mystical Rebel. And please do follow me there. I'm trying to build an audience over there because it's nowhere near the audience that I have here. I'm grateful for the little 200 I have over there, but let's get those numbers up. So if you do want to see this again or see any previous live streams with myself and Alchemic, check out the YouTube. Well, here's a good one. What is Hermeticism? Is it a religion, a belief? I mean, I guess you could look at it as a religion, but I guess officially, quote unquote, it's a religio philosophical spiritual path. It's not organized, so and there's no like churches or any. So I mean, like we don't have any like legal tax exempt status. So legally, we are not a religion. But there are adherents all around the world. And it is something that goes back to, I believe, second century CE for what we generally call classical um, Hermeticism. There is writings prior to that, but for the most part, it comes from that time frame. Then it kind of died out, and it got revived during the Renaissance. Then it kind of died out and came back during like the Grimoire revival. But essentially, it is a Greco-Egyptian religio, a philosophical spiritual path that espouses the teachings of a collection of texts known as the Corpus Hermeticum. This is where our philosophy, our cosmological outlook, our theological outlook, our ontological outlook, our epistemological outlook, eschatological outlook is all outlined in a giant collection of texts known as the corpus and its associated texts, such as the one that we're reading this evening, Hermetica 2. Um, so, yeah, is there anything you'd like to add to that?
I think you pretty well nailed it.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much. I do my best. I knew you were collecting souls for Lucifuge. Well, you figured me out. You found me out. Now I have to take you out. I'm sorry.
You wear a pair of shoes now?
I wear a pair of shoes now, huh?
You're repairing shoes. Is that what all the soles are for?
Oh yes, yes, yes. I bought a Foot Locker, and so yeah, I'm. We are on Stobaean Fragment 11. We just read the first 11 principles and had a little discussion on them, Abraxas, and now we're about to do 12 through, I guess, like 2021,
All
and
right.
we'll discuss those. So,
Number 12. Not everything that undergoes experience has sensation. Everything that has sensation undergoes experience. Everything that feels pain feels pleasure, the mortal animal, but not everything pleasurable is painful, the eternal animal. Not everybody grows sick, but everybody that does grow sick breaks down. Consciousness is in God. Rationality is in humanity. Rationality is in consciousness. Consciousness cannot suffer. Nothing in the realm of the body is true. Everything in the realm of the bodiless is without falsehood. Everything born can change, but not everything born decays. There is no good upon earth. There is no evil in heaven. God is good and humanity evil. The good is freely chosen. Evil is not freely chosen. That right there. I think that if you just read 19, you get this absolutely like abysmal outlook. You're like, oh my God, humanity's evil.
Yeah. I
This
could
is
see people being
bad.
like, "Wait, what?"
But you have to
Especially the Gnostics,
immediately
they'd love that.
look at verse 20. Good is freely chosen.
Hmm.
Evil is not freely chosen.
Yes,
What do we
it's
call it when you give up choice? Giving
when
yourself
you.
to the fates.
Oh, yeah, okay.
You know, if you're giving yourself over to the spirits, if you're giving yourself over to fates, you are giving up that sense of choice. You've given up rationality. You have given up the good. You
I
are
agree.
just an animal at that point.
Yep, operating only on instinct. Um, so there's a couple of things here I'd like to talk about. I
Okay.
think first we need to define a body, right? So verse 14 says, "Not everybody grows sick," but it's not everybody, it's every body.
Hmm.
And so it does mean, yes, it does mean people, but also it means any kind of body, any sort of spiritual body, a physical body, any kind of body grows sick, but not every
Also,
body that does grow sick breaks down.
planets are a body. The
Yeah,
sun is
yeah,
a body.
planetary bodies, the elemental bodies. I just wanted to make that clear because some people might hear that as like everybody and think it's just
Yeah.
relating to humans. But no, it's every space body. And bodies references more than just human bodies. There are spiritual bodies, planetary bodies, ethereal bodies, all that. So, also, where was it? I think it was. Yes. Okay. 17. Everything born can change, but not everything born decays. Now, we should also probably define or expose the dichotomy between change and decay, right? Because some people would probably classify decay as a type of change.
It is.
So,
It is. But it is not the only kind of change.
right.
It's kind of like adaptation is a step of evolution, but it is not in and of itself evolution. It's a part of the process. Decay is a form of change, but it's only one of the many forms it can take. I mean, as you grow, you change. That's not decaying. That's growth. Um,
I like
when
it.
you take a moment to improve, or even if you disprove, you don't decay, but you break, you destroy. That's a change. Oh, take care, Fireby.
Well said. Well said, my friend. Thank you very much. Uh, Do you have rituals in Hermeticism? You can. Um, I don't recall any like commanded rituals. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alchemic, but I don't recall in the corpus. Um, yeah,
There
not that
are
I can,
none
not that I
commanded,
can
but
think
there
of.
are some suggested. Doing a prayer while facing east at sunrise
Okay,
is a
okay,
ritual that
okay.
is very much suggested and like, hey, this is a great way. I personally think it's a great way to start my day.
Right.
Um, but there's no like,
Um, sorry,
say the
good.
only real commandments given by the Hermetica are uh, be good.
Yeah, yeah. You can have rituals. If you're interested in Hermetic rituals, I recommend Hermetic Magic by Stephen Flowers. This is full of it, especially part two. Or you can get the Greek Magical Papyri. And the elucidation on that would be Stephen Skinner's Techniques of Greco-Egyptian Magic, if you're looking for Hermetic ritual. But there isn't really, anything commanded within Hermeticism when it comes to ritual.
Now, it's interesting because 16 and 17, which is 17 is what you were just reading,
Hmm.
refer to fragment 2a, which I went back and looked at 2a real quick, and it's the one talking about truth, how nothing in the world is true because everything in the world changes, and to be true, you have to be fact, and facts don't change.
Hmm.
So this is
Well,
kind of referencing back to that.
okay, okay. But can facts change? Well, no, I guess they don't change. I think we can improve upon them.
Yep.
Um, okay,
You can look
okay.
at a fact as changing, like a piece of information fact, but I like something that is like truth.
Hmm.
Truth cannot change. You cannot change truth.
Right. Okay. Okay. I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. Because, like, I want to say, like, maybe you might not be able to change the truth now, but that truth still remains. You
Yep.
might be able to change your circumstance to a new truth, but that previous truth would still be the truth. Okay. Okay.
That's
No,
where
I'm
it's
not a
back into that
Freemason.
weird wordplay of like facts and truth and this versus what this is trying to explain of like the fundamental realities of the universe don't change.
Okay.
Because everything else changes, there is no other truth. There's no actual truth to our world. Like you said, if it can be changed by circumstance, it wasn't a truth, it was a circumstance.
Right. Okay. Well done. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Abraxas, we might get to chapter 13. I don't, or chapter 12. Wait, you said the chapter right after 12. Okay, so 13. I don't think we'll get to 13. Even I mean, we may barely get through 11. If we do, we'll only do 12, and I doubt we'll get to 13 this
I
week.
doubt
Excuse
we'll
me.
get to
We might have to
12
wait
because
till
there's
next
some
week.
meaty stuff up ahead.
Sorry?
I doubt we'll get to 12 because there's some meaty stuff up ahead. And I don't want to
Okay.
like rush it, but we may hit like next week, we may be able to hit like 12, 13, 14, then like 15 in a row.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, we will be able to get to that hopefully next week, Abraxas. But I'm glad that you're very interested in the text and the upcoming chapters. No, I am not a Freemason, but Alchemic is. He is a Freemason. Hence the term, or his, and hence the name, Alchemic Mason.
Yep.
Abraxas says that the discourse on the eighth and ninth could be used to reconstruct rituals.
Yes.
Um, that yeah, I can see that.
Potentially the Cups of Inod as well, which is book. I want to say it was 8.
For the what?
Cups of Inod.
um
No.
I don't, I'd have to, hold on, I'd have to look. Ugh. All right, the eighth and the ninth, discourse on the eighth and ninth.
No, there's one of the books does a description on a potential initiation ritual.
So that would be, I think, yeah, eighth. That would be the prayer for ascent into the eighth and ninth.
Uh, no.
So then, do you mean the vision?
It was the Tat, I'm pretty sure.
Because then after that is instructions for the preservation of the text. Yeah, it would have to be the prayer because it starts out with an introduction to the ceremony, and then it gets
Oh, it's
into the
about 8th and ninth.
ceremony.
Yeah, 8th and ninth. Yeah, I'm looking at like the Corpus Hermetica, like the actual or core text.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah.
We're in two separate books. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I was going off of the what Abraxas was saying. Um, but yeah, perhaps the prayer for ascent. Um, and this chunk of text prior, um, I I guess you could make something. I mean, you did say reconstruct, so interesting. Hold on, I have to move some stuff around.
Chapter 13, book 13 may have something akin to a ritual as well. It's tricky because it's a verbal text, but it could be constructed towards that.
What would book 13 be called for you?
Oh, and this one is just Hermes the Tat. In the general lectures, O Father, you spoke in riddles about the divine nature without shedding any light.
All right. I think that might be book 15 for me. Let's see. What was the opening?
In the general lectures, O Father, you spoke in riddles about the divine nature without shedding any light.
Okay, no, that's not it. I'll find it. You can continue.
You'll be able to find it through our Discord because we had those days where we were like comparing chapters.
It didn't do, okay.
But like we're trying to in our private chat that no one else gets to read.
Oh yeah, were we doing that on didn't you have like a document or something?
Oh, I did. It's been a minute.
Yeah, I'd have to, yeah, because I'm scrolling back pretty far. Let's see. It's all right.
Yep. All
I will
right.
find it.
Shall we do part 21?
Yeah. Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, if you want to do 21 through 35, and then I'll bring it home until we're to the final section.
All right. Can do. Let me just put this back up there. All right. The gods choose goods as they are. Good order is good order of what is great. The law is good order. Time is divine. Law is human. The vice of the world is luxury. The time of humanity is decay. Everything in heaven cannot be altered. Everything on earth can be altered. Nothing in heaven is enslaved, and nothing on earth is free. There is nothing unknown in heaven, and nothing known upon earth. Nothing in heaven communicates with things on earth, but things on earth communicate with things in heaven. Ooh, I can't wait to talk about that one. Everything in heaven is blameless. Everything on earth is blameworthy. The immortal is not mortal. The mortal is not immortal. Everything sown is not born, but everything born is also sown. There are two periods of a dissolvable body: the period from sowing to birth, and the period from birth to death. An eternal body only has a period from birth. Bodies that break down grow and diminish. Matter that breaks down changes into its opposite, which is deconstruction and birth. Matter that is eternal changes into itself or into something similar. Birth is the beginning of human decay. Decay is the beginning of human birth.
Hmm.
So, some very interesting things here. Um, so, I want to talk about the first thing, verse 23. Time is divine, law is human. So, that seems to be the opposite, right? Because we have divine law, right? And we would think that time does not exist in the realm of God or the gods and all that other stuff, right? Whereas laws would come down from them. That's where we get laws. And so I mean it did say at the very beginning this is going to be paradoxal, but that seems to be like in inverse. Uh, Now the footnote does state another corrupt maxim. Knock following Thieler suggests eternity is divine, or excuse me, eternity is divine law, time is human law. And then they give the Greek, which I don't speak Greek. Gikio, are you in here? You're from Greece. Gikio, are you in here? If so, I'll show you what this says. And then you can give us an accurate translation. And then in Asclepius 30, it says divine law frames the movements of the stars, which inform time. So I guess I was right because that seems to be in inverse there.
Yep. If I may, though, there is a certain appeal to the time is divine, not as in like time is divinity, like time is that, and that laws are all by human, but more of a like the time that we are given is a gift from divinity.
Hmm.
Like the existence, time existing is that gift. But if
Okay,
you look, the time of humanity is decay.
very
So
very
that, that,
true.
that, that our portion of it is to break down and go away, but that doesn't mean that time itself is bad. The passage of time isn't bad.
Exactly. And thank you very much for the gifts, Binks. I think it was. Thank you. Appreciate that. Uh, Cheer for Binks. Thank you, Binks. Appreciate you. Uh, Beauty says, but what is good? What is good? Since the
Selflessness,
very first verse says, the gods choose goods as they are, and good order is good order. What is good?
selflessness, acting for others.
There you go. Love. Love of God's creation. Abraxas says, there is but one religion of God. That is not to be evil. Corpus Hermeticum 12, book 12.
Nail, hammer. Right on.
Thank you for the book recommendations. You're very welcome. All right, before we read any more questions, let me continue here. Um, what was the next one? Oh, here we go. Verse 25. Everything in heaven cannot be altered. Everything on earth can be altered. So the earth thing, obviously, but the heaven thing, it says everything in heaven cannot be altered. But it, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading it wrong. So never mind. I'm not even going to say that
Actually, I
because
think that one, I think is another possible corrupted one. Like it
okay,
doesn't note it, but it keeps throwing the word out heaven when that word has so much ambiguity at this point. Like, does it mean heavens where the fixed stars are?
right.
Does it mean the heavens that we see in the sky? Or is it talking about that point past the 10th sphere where we exist and coexist back in God? Which of these scopes is it discussing when it says this word? Without that, we have no context. If it means in the realm of existence within God, then yeah, it never changes because it's God. But if it means in any of the other aspects, that would be fundamentally flawed because they are part of the cosmos and cosmos change.
Amen. Amen. Um, I don't have any issues with 26 or 27. They seem pretty good. But 28 is the one.
Yep.
Nothing in heaven communicates with things on earth, but things on earth communicate with things in heaven. So I'm sorry to all the people who think that angels are contacting you randomly. They are not, because that's not how they operate, right? And even most other religions agree with this, that angels aren't just out here randomly talking to people. They have a job to do. They have a whole, order to handle and things like that. They don't. They're not worried about, human affairs. But we can certainly reach out and communicate with them, as
I
Debate
will,
and Fragment 28 states. But they're not like, you know what? Let me just reach out to the mystical rebel and just give him the good news. Like they're not
I
going to do
will, I will make argument that there are certain entities that we might call angels and such because we have things like the Agatha Daemon.
that. Sure,
There's already a
sure.
name. those are entities that do contact us. But
Yes.
my interpretation of this is I do not call my friend while I am home. Like the entities won't contact us while they are out of this realm, but
Mhm.
they can come to this realm, they can interact on this realm. That is when they will make contact, and so they have
Right.
to descend the spheres almost and come to the tangible reality to communicate with us.
Yes. Yes.
Which again
And
goes back to they're not doing that just on a whim. Like if they're coming to speak, they are coming down for a reason.
exactly, yeah. And thank you for pointing out about like the Agathos demon and all that. With your HGA or with your Nativity Angel and all that, while they can reach out to you, they tend to do it through like signs and omens and things like that, not channeling, while you're meditating and all that good stuff. Um, but yeah, I really wanted to touch on that one. Um, let's see. The immortal is not mortal. The mortal is not immortal. I mean, that's kind of self-explanatory. Um, should we go into 32 a little bit? There are two periods of a dissolvable body, the period from sowing to birth and the period from birth to death. An eternal body
There,
only has a period from birth.
I feel like to do that one though, you also have to look at 31. Everything
Okay,
sown
everything
is not
sown is
born,
not born.
but everything born is also sown.
Mm-hmm.
So we look at that. Okay, that makes sense at first glance. That makes sense. Like in its own, that is such a bland statement. Like, yeah, you can plant a crop, and to be clear, it's not necessarily talking about crops.
Yeah. I,
Um, but everything born is also sown. So yeah, congratulations. Verse 31 tells you about the birds and the bees. That's where babies come from.
right.
But number 32 adds a whole other context to it. Because, okay, you and I, we were born, we're dissolvable. So we have two periods. We had before we were born and after we were born. But the period from birth to death is also exclusive to an eternal body. But to
Okay.
be born,
Makes
they had to
sense.
be sown.
Okay, so
So even eternal bodies had to be sown.
yeah, so that's what I was going to ask, and I'm trying to. So in this context, how would you then explain how eternal bodies are created if they are sown and the creator is well? Okay, hold on, never mind. I think I'm answering my own question.
Good, good, do
So
it.
so are we talking about sort of like an alchemical process here, um, in which God, who, even though we call him the Father, he's not gendered. Therefore, he can generate, he can create with both properties of male and female.
I think that is there's two ways you could interpret this. The
Mhm.
first is, God makes each and every single one of us.
Right.
And like that seems minor, but think about it. The creator of everything we see took the time to make you
Hmm.
for no other reason than an act of love. When you really let that sink in, that's massive.
Oh yeah.
But the other thing I want to talk about is if we look at it as we are eternal, the nous, the part of us that survives is eternal. That could be considered our eternal body.
Okay, I can gel
But
with
that would
that.
mean our eternal body only has us, life, only has from birth to death.
Okay.
So the physical body has to mature to a point where it can hold us. Then we're born to death, and we share that physical body up to that point. But
Aha.
both had to be sown.
Okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense. I think I understand. Uh, Key things about Stabaean Fragment 2a is we must look towards the sun as the purest image of truth. Yes, we already lectured through that a few months back. Um, it was a very interesting read. Oh, you read the whole book multiple. Well, great. Welcome. You are in the right spot.
Yeah. Welcome,
You are
welcome.
in the right live stream.
I have to get you up here and share in the reading one night.
Yeah, if you have a copy next week, feel free to request to come up. And yes, the barbarous names or the barbarous nomina could be used in ritual. That is very true. That's what Stephen Flowers recommends in Hermetic Magic.
So 34 kind of has an interesting thing because reading over it and I'm realizing that that parentheses or that bracket has an extra meaning I want to teeter on. Matter that
Okay.
breaks down changes into its opposite, destruction and birth.
Hmm.
Matter that is eternal changes into itself or into something similar. So when we look
Okay.
at that destruction and birth, I think that's actually trying to state those as those opposites.
Okay.
Like when you are
So,
born, the opposite of that is destruction. That is your decay point. When you
and
are
it says,
destroyed, okay,
sorry, go ahead.
as I said, the destruction then its inverse would be birth. Being born undoes your destruction.
That's true. That's true. Interesting. So matter that breaks down changes into its opposite, destruction and birth. Okay. Matter that is eternal changes into itself or into something similar. Okay. Well, that also makes sense. Um, the mortal combinations of matter break down into the immortal elements that can be exchanged, but not further broken down. Huh. Well, that makes sense. The body would die, and then the soul would be left, and that can't be broken down. So yeah, that makes sense. I don't have an issue with that. Birth is the beginning of human decay. Decay is the beginning of human birth. Um, that makes sense. All right. Do you want me to continue with 36 to 48 or
If you want to go to 44 and then I can finish it off.
okay? What goes out of existence comes into existence. What comes into existence also goes out of it. Of existing things, some are in bodies, some in ideal forms, and some in energies. A body is in an ideal form, and both ideal forms and energies are in bodies. What is immortal does not share what is mortal, but the mortal shares the immortal. Aha, yeah, that makes sense. A mortal body does not come into an immortal one, but an immortal body can arrive in a mortal one, which seems to contradict 38, but we can discuss that. The energies are not born upwards, but downwards. Nothing in earth benefits what is in heaven. Everything in heaven benefits things on earth. Heaven receives eternal bodies, and earth receives decaying bodies. The earth is non rational, while heaven is rational. Heavenly things are subject to providence, earthly things are subject to necessity. All right. So, what goes out of existence comes into existence. What comes into existence also goes out of it. I mean, that's just another way of stating as above, so below. I mean,
Yep.
that you know,
What God made will eventually return.
yes, exactly. And I mean, there's a pretty big reference here. Um, I guess we can go ahead and read it. It says, contrast sayings, um, eternal bodies need not die or go out of existence. For Stebaean or for SS 30 through 36 through if we compare it to the definitions, it says evil is a deficiency of good, good is fullness of itself, providence and necessity are in the mortal birth and death, and in God unbegotten essence. So there's a lot more there, but it seems to be saying that this is contrasted elsewhere in the Corpus Hermeticum, the totality of the canon. Um,
So that footnote actually brings up something really good we talked about earlier in the what is good and evil.
mhm.
And I may need to alter what my phrasing on a little bit based on that, because thinking on it, that actually makes more sense. The way I've been saying it is evil is selfishness, but it's not. Evil is not an actual existing thing, it is an absence of the good. And so if the good is selflessness and doing things for others and acting in love, then evil is simply the lack of doing that. Now, that will be selfishness. You'll be doing things for yourself,
Right.
but you're not doing it as an active act of selfishness. You're simply doing it because you do not have the active love. So
Okay.
even if you are doing something that is selfless, if you are doing it without the selflessness involved, that still would not be a good action.
Well said, brother. Issa says that she just saw the divine timing in a different light now. So they're seeing the whole divine timing in a different light. Well, I'm glad we could help shift your perspective. Um, she also states, Euthypyro by Plato is a great debate on what is good and what is not good. It
A
is.
lot of this is touching on Plato's work. There is a long-standing debate between people who have far more research and education, and be straight with
Who
you,
came
Platonians never do,
first?
about whether Plato studied in the Egyptian mystery schools, and if so, did Plato learn about the proto-Hermeticism that may have been taught in those schools, and that influenced his teachings? Or did his teachings go on to affect Plotinus, which then became Neoplatonic and became the Hermetica? It's a
Yeah.
whole different circular logic, but I've said it before a couple of times. An introduction to Plato book is actually really helpful for understanding a lot of what Hermetica is trying to talk about.
Hmm. I agree. 100%. Abraxas says, I think number 28 is a good maxim on what theurgy is. 28, let me go back to 28.
Nothing in heaven
Oh, yes.
communicates
Yeah.
with things on earth. Yep.
Yeah. I agree with that. 100%. Muslims believe the Quran was revealed to Muhammad by Gabriel. Yeah, I mean, that's fine for them. We're not Muslim, so we would not agree with that. But that's great for them.
Let's see.
Uh, I've been studying the Hermetic principles. I'm still trying to understand it every time I read it. Well, that's what it's for. You're not supposed to get it on the first read through.
When you
You're not
say
supposed to get it
Hermetic
on the second read through.
principles, do you mean the Kabbalion?
I hope not. I hope that they are following along with what we've been saying lately. But yeah, if you mean the Kabbalion, well, you could trash it right now and just never even try to understand it because it's nonsense. But if you mean actual, like the corpus and the Stobaean fragments and the definitions and the divine pyramid, the canon, then yeah, you're not supposed to. It's supposed to take several readings, meditating on it. If you have, other people to do so with, discussion, I mean, in some cases, debate, in order to arrive at
I mean, that is the whole reason we do these live streams, is
accurate
because
knowledge. Yeah.
to help each other share the information and then get other people involved in it as well.
Yeah. And to discuss and to learn. Every time I read this, I see something different, or I come to a new insight. So yeah, and not this one. I meant the corpus. This is a new purchase from a few months ago. Um, what about Corpus Hermeticum? I think that's 8, where nothing is destroyed. That's my only qualm with 34. Well, yeah, so these are paradoxal, right? So there are things that are going to, sound like they contradict previously held statements. Like, so matter breaks down and changes into its opposite, I'm guessing, is what you're referring to.
I think it's the destruction and birth, and I would say that destruction in that emphasis in that moment is not meant to imply like destruction and ceasing to exist so much as destruction as in like You take the Legos apart to put them back together. It is describing decay. So, and I know that's tedious because it's a word that's being used in different contexts, but that is a limitation of the language and the transliterations that we're doing. Jason Ubo asks, "Do you think the golden fleece is Christos oil and the path to the festival of lights?" No,
That's for you,
I do
brother.
not subscribe to the Christos oil concept whatsoever. I do not think that there is a secretion that is required in order to achieve gnosis. I think what is required to achieve gnosis is remembering and understanding and recommunication with God.
I don't have a response because I don't know anything about alchemy. So,
I mean, Christus oil is pituitary gland type things.
oh, okay, 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 okay.
Oh, there it is.
So,
I'm sorry, pineal gland. I believe the Hermetical principles explain two witnesses in Revelation, pineal and pituitary. Don't think so at all. When you say
interesting.
Hermetical principles, do you mean the seven Hermetic principles from the Kabbalion? Because if so,
Ooh,
they're not Hermetic at all. If you mean a different set, you would need to clarify because there's not an official specific set of principles. Um, but the pineal gland, I don't want to say I hold no respect for the pineal gland. I hold an appropriate level for the pineal gland in respect to what it does for the human body and its facilities. I do not hold a respect for it in any greater functionality. It helps you sleep. That is what it does. It is not, unlike the Christos oil, it is not the secret to gnosis. It is not the one quick trick to get into heaven.
exactly. Jermaine Tube says, "How can we transmute chaos into order using mental alchemy, the Kabbalion?" No, thank you. But if you would like to continue, using new thought, sure, go ahead. But it's not hermetic at all.
Yeah, the you would not transmute chaos into like spiritual alchemy is 100% a thing. Not saying spiritual alchemy does not exist, but it's half of an equation. You would want to be doing both to truly achieve any results. And what the Kabbalion suggests is just not how things are meant to work. You're not supposed to try and change chaos into order. You're just supposed to make lives better.
And as I'm reading down further, he clarified saying that he knows that it's not hermetic. He was asking if we could clarify what that means. So hopefully that does it for you, Jermaine.
So before we jump to the last section, I want to talk about 41.
Okay.
Nothing on earth benefits what is in heaven, but everything in heaven benefits things on earth. At first, it seems like it's contradicting as above, so below. But
Mm-hmm.
I want to take a moment and again step back to that. They keep using heaven interchangeably for different things.
Yes.
Nothing that we do on this planet helps God.
Right.
If you look at it, if you use heaven as that reunification, as literally God, nothing we do here helps God.
Not at all.
We do not do what we do to help God because there's a whole thing in the Corpus Hermetica, the core texts about don't light an incense for God because God already has all the incense. Like you've given him nothing; he is everything.
Right. Yeah.
You do these things, these acts of kindness, to help others. That is the intention and the goal.
Agreed. Um, I don't think I had any other comments. Maybe 42, but nah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
kind of obvious. So, um,
So I'm going to
we can go ahead
apologize
and
in
close it.
advance. My battery has 2% left, despite being on the charger this whole time.
Oh my goodness.
So if I suddenly ninja vanish on you, I have just cut it too close to the wire. But I'm going to
Um,
try and get through this last reading really quick.
all right.
Heaven was the first element and the last. Providence is divine order. Necessity is providence's maidservant. Chance is an unordered impulse, an image of activity, a false vision. What is God? Unchanging good. What is humanity? Changing evil. If you remember these chief
I like
points,
that.
you will easily recall the points I discuss at greater length, for the main points are summaries of the explained teachings. But shun conversations with the common crowd. I do not want you to begrudge people, but to the common crowd you will appear ridiculous. Like is received by like, and unlike things are never friends. These teachings convince precious few listeners, or perhaps it will convince not even a few. These teachings contain something peculiar. They incite evil people towards evil. Therefore, these teachings must be kept from the common crowd, who do not understand the excellence of what is said. What do you mean, Father? Let me explain, my child. The human animal taken as a whole is starkly inclined toward evil. It grows up and is nurtured by it. As a result, it takes pleasure in it. So if this animal learns that the world is born, and that all things arise by providence and necessity under the rule of fate, will it not be far worse than at present? Despite the universe, Despising the universe as something born and referring the causes of evil to fate?
Uh-oh. I think we lost him. I thought a bug was crawling on me. Um, I mean, he didn't fall offline, so I don't want to leave. I think we lost him. All right. Well, I will go ahead and finish it and I guess close it out with a Q&A. Hold on. Let me. Why won't this? There we go. Move that back up. All right. So he stopped at necessity under the rule of fate. Will it not be far worse than at present, despising the universe as something born and referring to the causes of evil to fate? The human species will never relinquish any evil act. I believe that. Also, all the people waiting for a savior or for us to raise the vibration and all this other nonsense, you're waiting in vain. But sure. So the teaching must be kept from them so that, held in ignorance, they may be less evil through fear of what is uncertain. So that ends Stobane Fragment 11. The only thing I really wanted to talk about in here is so obviously, what is God? Unchanging good. What is humanity? Changing evil. I think that is a wonderful, wonderful axiom on explaining the dichotomy between God and his creation, right? Because there are other religions that are out there, right, that claim that their deity, that their God is unchanging. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. Yet the God in one testament does not seem, the bloodthirsty, war hungry God from one testament does not seem to be the same benevolent, peaceful, everyone's invited to the party as long as they believe in me God in the secondary testament. Um, so God is unchanging good, right? There is nothing within him um, that would be able to commit or do any kind of evil. Um, and so it would be impossible for him to be any kind of of the same vein as the deity from the First Testament. And I can't say their name because they always report my videos and my live streams because they can criticize everybody, but when they get criticized, they get upset. So I can't say their name, but I'm sure you all know who I'm talking about. Um, what was the other thing I wanted to talk about? Um, Where was it? Oh, here it is. It's under the secrecy. It says, "But shun conversations with the common crowd. I do not want you to begrudge people, but to the common crowd you will appear ridiculous." And it references Life of Pythagoras by Jambilkis, where it goes on to state that the Pythagoreans used to speak to each other in symbols, right? Where to everyone else they looked ridiculous, they looked crazy, but in actuality, they were communicating, an immense amount of knowledge to each other, but through the use of symbols. And so it is in that way, kind of like what we were talking about during yesterday's stream when we were discussing initiation, right? And how there are some in some cases you are able to sort of give pearls before swine because they wouldn't even know what you're talking about, right? Like the Pythagoreans, they could speak openly because they weren't saying anything that anyone else could understand, right? They were seen as ridiculous, whereas to each other they were conveying and discussing knowledge. And the mysteries, as we were discussing yesterday, can be seen in the same way. And uh, I think that verse can also be looked at in that sort of same vein. Um, so those are the only two that I wanted to talk about. I'm not sure what Alchemic would have wanted to discuss, but unfortunately his phone died as he said would happen, and you guys saw happen. So sorry about that. That sucks. But we got pretty much most of the stream. Didn't do the full 2 hours, but hour and 40 minutes is fine enough. So that concludes Staban Fragment 11, and next week, next Wednesday at 9 p.m., we will be starting Staban Fragment 12. And 12 is pretty short, literally 2 paragraphs. So, and not that many references, only 3 cited references. So I don't think we will spend too much time on that. So we might be able to breeze right on through that. We'll probably be able to get through 13. 13 is literally 1 paragraph. Well, actually, it's 1 sentence, actually. The paragraph is the introduction. It's literally 1 sentence. It's literally just 1 sentence, the fragment 13. So, yeah, we'll probably be able to get through to 15, because 14 is also pretty small or short. I guess it's technically 2 paragraphs, but it really should be 1 paragraph. But it's 2 paragraphs. And yeah, we should be able to get through to 15. We might not be able to finish through 15, even though 15 is kind of short. But we should be able to read through 215 starting next week. So, very interesting. The Kabbalion is in Hermetic. I'll let Mystic or Alchemical handle that. I don't have enough character space to fully explain why the Kabbalion is in Hermetic. So yeah, what are the resources to clarify that? I don't really just believe things I see. No problem. So what you want to look at is actual Hermetic sources. Those would be the resources. You take your pick from any of the texts within the corpus itself, the Pymander, anything. What I always tell people to do is, if it's better if you have, dual monitors or, more than one monitor, or you have a phone and your computer, go to a website called sacredtext.com. Both the Kabbalion and pretty much everything in legitimate, Hermeticism is so old that it's in the public domain. So go to sacredtext.com and pull up the Kabbalion. Then on your other screen, whether it's your phone, your actual monitor, or whatever, go to sacredtext.com again and pull up the Corpus Hermeticum and compare the two. Compare the actual Hermetic text to the claimed or the purported text and see if there's any sort of correlation. See if anything transfers over. See if anything, is mentioned in either or from the other. You're not going to find any. The best resource is to go to the source itself, and the source itself is actual Hermetic text, like the Corpus, like the Pymander, Asclepius, the definitions, the various fragments like we read this evening. You're not going to find any sort of correlation. You're actually going to find a lot of anti-Hermetic beliefs, such as the law of gender, right? Gender is not really that important in Hermetics, it's the last thing you get when you incarnate. It's the first thing you shed when you leave. So it's not that important at all. There is no law of gender. Earlier, Alchemic gave a excellent reason for why the law of polarity is not really a thing, and the fallacy there, which we happen to be reading one of the fragments that actually talked about that this evening. So, but yeah, that would be the best option. Would be to actually go to the actual Hermetic text. Now, if you want academic text, if you want like scholarly text, no problem. You can take a look at the Secret History of Hermes Trismegistus by Jesus Christ. Florian Ebeling and Jan Assmann, two very prominent scholars and figures in not only Greco-Egyptian religious teachings, but also Mediterranean studies, Greek and Hebrew studies, things like that. Also, Antoine Favre's, this is the quintessential text on Western occultism and esotericism, of which Hermeticism falls under. Western Esotericism: A Concise History by Antoine Favre. The Hermeticism chapters in here give you a good. Let me show you here. Give you a good approach to the origins of actual Hermeticism and so also you can take a look at Copenhaver's this goes up here translation of the Hermetica and his notes and citations and things like that. um, what else can help you? I guess Francis Yates and Giordano Bruno and the Hermetic tradition. So, yes, please. I want to understand exactly what is the Hermetic is. Well, hopefully you were getting some of that tonight during the reading. Are you reading different aspects of it? Of what? What do you mean? Different aspects of it? Trash the Kabbalion. It's not Hermetic. These fine people are reading authentic Hermetic literature. Well, thank you, Abraxas. Thank you very much. Also, you can take a look, Jermaine, at Dr. Justin Sledge on Esoterica on YouTube. He is a religious histories scholar with a focus in Hebrew and Greek, studies and all that good stuff. Of which Hermeticism is Greco-Egyptian, so it has a major Greek influence. And he put out a video a few weeks ago. Well, actually, it's a couple months ago now, on Hermeticism. And one of the first things he says is, if you're thinking that the Kabbalion is Hermetic, it's not. And he gives you like a rundown on why. Also, not a scholar on the same level, but a practicing Hermeticist. Sam Block or Polyphanes runs the Digital Ambler. You can check out his treatise on why the Kabbalion is not Hermetic, who it really came from, and the history of it, which I have a video on my channel here. So under my Hermeticism playlist. That's the word. Playlist. Will you say it's inconsistent? Is what inconsistent? The Kabbalion? No, it has nothing to do with this, with its inconsistencies. It has to do with its lies. It's not what it claims to be. Where can I purchase or find the resources that are being shared here? These can all be bought on Amazon. These aren't, fancy occult books that you have to, know where to go buy it from. Um, but these can be bought right on Amazon. You can go on Amazon and just type in Hermeticism, and you'll get a lot of stuff. Unfortunately, because it's Amazon, and Amazon is not a paragon of spiritual knowledge, they are a business selling you, things that they recommend you based on an algorithm. When you type it in, the Kabbalion is going to come up, unfortunately. So alongside these texts, like alongside the real text, it'll be customers also bought, and then you'll see the Kabbalion down there. Again, Amazon is not a scholarly, knowledgeable place. It is a business selling you things. And they're selling you and recommending things based off of keywords and things like that. So don't think that just because the Kabbalion is mentioned there on Amazon, that it is legitimate. It's not. They just have a business to run, and that business is selling you things. But you can buy them on Amazon. It's similar to why Jesus spoke in parables. Yes, exactly. I'm guessing you're referring to what I was just saying when we were closing out the reading. Have a good night, Rebel. I'm out. Thank you, Abraxas. You too. Have a good one. Thank you for being here. How was the Kabbalion? No, okay, I'm not going to. We did that like 6 times this evening, and I literally just got done explaining it literally 2 minutes ago. So I'm not going to go over that again. I'm sorry. I have videos on that. You can leave the stream and go on my page and click on Hermeticism playlist, and it's in there. I have videos on why the Kabbalion is not real. I literally, the minute you came in and asked that question, I had just got done explaining to Jermaine why. So I'm not going to immediately repeat myself. But it's in video. It's in a video that I have on my Hermeticism playlist. So check that out. Sorry about that. Speaking of Jermaine, he just commented. That's what that was. He just commented on one of the videos. So probably why the Kabbalion is not real video. So I'll be responding to that shortly because I'll be getting off here in a few minutes. So yeah, we got about 5 minutes left, guys. Any final questions? Any final comments? Anything you guys want to talk about before we head out for the evening? And thank you all for being here. Thank you all, everybody, for showing up. You all are great. Appreciate each and every one of you. Give yourselves a round of applause. You guys are great. Showing up here every Wednesday, hanging out for the 2 hours. Appreciate it. You guys have great questions, spark great conversation. Even if we don't always agree, we're not looking for an echo chamber here. We're not looking for people to always just, agree with everything we say. Yes, it was a pleasure. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you, Issa. You've been supporting for quite a while, so I appreciate you. Appreciate you coming in. You're pretty much in almost every live stream, so thank you. But yeah, this can be gotten purchased on Amazon. Is the price on the back? No, normally the prices are on the back. Mine was free because my job, the bank that I work at, whenever you do, good things or someone nominates you for something great, you get points and you can spend those points on Amazon. So a lot of the text that I have, I didn't have to spend much money on because I was able to use my points at work, which I don't even know how I get them because I'm in marketing. So no one's nominating you in marketing. That's like a call center type of a thing. I'm on the corporate side, so, but somehow I get points, so whatever. All right. Well, it doesn't seem like we have any other questions or any other comments or anything. So I think we'll go ahead and call it an evening. It was a great 2 hours. Thank you all for being here and doing the live stream with myself and Alchemic. Unfortunately, his phone died, so he had to bow out early. But I don't know if I'll be live tomorrow night. Maybe not, since we did the initiation stream yesterday, and we're doing the Hermetic stream tonight. So I'll probably be live again, probably Friday or this weekend. Maybe Friday, maybe even during the day, since we're getting out of work early. They're letting us out at 1, so maybe a little early during the day. Who knows? But yeah, thank you all for being here. Truly appreciate each and every one of you. And I will see you guys in the next one. As always, seek the mysteries. Peace.